Flat earthers might be onto something here. Did you know that underwater sea cables account for 99% of our communication? Well, they do. And if we look at the map of underwater sea cables, we find something quite bizarre. Australia, South America, and Africa have no direct connecting cables apart from one. Why is this bizarre? Well, let's take a look at the flat Earth map. These three continents are the furthest away from each other, so far away that it would be ridiculous to even connect them when they can run through the center of all continents. And what about the odd one out, the little bit of connecting cables from South America to Africa? Well, you see, if we look back at the flat Earth map, it actually shows that the two regions that connect this line of sea cables are extremely close at those 2 points. So it makes sense to have cables running through. This same concept goes for flight paths and emergency stops. Many of them don't make any sense on a globe Earth map, but make complete sense according to the flat Earth one. So, do the flat earthers have a valid point here, or are you still not convinced? Yet.
What up, fam? Believe it or not, tsunamis actually prove that the Earth is in fact not a ball. Alright, so here's a depiction. There was actually a famous one in 1960 where the earthquake lasted about 11 minutes. And on a globe model, there's a well-known phenomenon that the tsunamis would wrap around the land masses, but coincidentally, they don't happen to wrap around Antarctica because it's not a landmass at the bottom of a ball. They actually push back from the Antarctic region, proving that. So please, just show me one tsunami that has wrapped around your alleged landmass at the bottom of your ball. Hint, you can't.
So, you want to talk about tides, do ya? Alright, let's do that. Before we get into my explanation of what I believe tides are, let's talk about the globes. They say that the gravity of the moon is so strong that it pulls the water that's on the surface of the Earth towards the moon, and that the Earth rotates through the bulge of water. And that the centripetal force of the Earth's rotation causes a bulge of water on the other side of the Earth. Never mind the fact that we cannot measure or feel the Earth's rotation, it is definitely responsible for causing the entire world's oceans to bulge. Because that makes sense. It makes about as much sense as claiming that the moon's gravity is strong enough to pull the world's oceans towards it from 238,000 miles away. Even though the moon's gravity is 1/6 as strong as the Earth's. Exactly how does that work? Well, gravity was stronger the closer you get to the source. And if gravity is stronger the closer you are to the source, how could anybody believe that an object with 1/6 the amount of gravity as the Earth has enough force to lift the entire world's oceans from 238,000 miles away? Does that really make sense to you? Do you really believe that the moon is creating a bulge of water that the Earth is rotating through? The centrifugal force of the Earth's motion is strong enough to cause a tidal bulge? Personally, I think every one of you watching this video are smart enough to know that does not make any sense. But the question is, are you willing to admit it? Until you are ready to admit that you've been fooled, nothing I could say to you is going to help. You're going to have to want it. And don't worry, we're going to get into what I believe is really going on. But first, we are going to continue deconstructing this nonsensical belief. If the moon really were responsible for these tides, the tides that we see and can measure here on Earth, they'd be consistent. Again, that's because they say that this is happening. There are two huge bulges of water that the Earth is rotating through. Exactly how do tidal nodes exist? How is it that there would be both high tides and low tides in the same geographical area? I mean, if the Earth really is rotating through a bulge of water at 1,000 miles an hour, why isn't that what we see? How could you possibly have no tides and high tides in the same area if this is the case? It doesn't matter where you imagine the moon is on this layout. There's always high tides and low tides right next to each other, which would be impossible if that is what's going on. And I think you know it. You know that it does not make sense that the moon, with 1/6 of the amount of gravity that the Earth has, can pull the water on the Earth from 238,000 miles away to create a bulge that the Earth rotates through. Let me repeat that. They say that the Earth is rotating through the bulge of water. The moon is holding this bulge of water in place and that the Earth rotates through it. Even though they claim that everything on the Earth moves with the rotation, well, except the oceans, of course. In order for this theory to be correct, everything would have to be moving in sync except for the world's oceans because the world is rotating through the bulge. Are you starting to catch on? Can you see how nonsensical this is? I think you do. I think you are now ready for me to present what I think is going on. And do not get it twisted. I am not making any claims. I am simply going to present to you what I think makes way more sense than this. And in order to do so, you are going to have to understand that water is diamagnetic. What that means is, water molecules are weakly repelled by a magnetic field. And guess what? We are completely enveloped in a magnetic field. And that magnetic field looks a little bit like this. Does this look familiar to you? Because it should. Remember when I showed you tidal nodes? I would like for you to just compare the tidal nodes of the world with the world's magnetic field. Do they look pretty similar? They do, don't they? And not only do these tidal nodes greatly resemble the Earth's magnetic field, it also looks a lot like a ley line projection. Now, I will tell you that ley lines are not scientifically validated. I will also point out that all of the pyramids and all of the ancient structures are all built on ley lines. You could choose to believe that was all done on accident and that our ancestors just had dumb luck, or you could choose to believe that our ancestors were more advanced than they want us to believe. That's a subject for another video. Tidal nodes exist because this nonsense here is not happening. There is a far better explanation for how tides exist than this nonsense. And until we are able to openly and publicly discuss this topic, it's all speculation. So if you have questions about how things would work on a flat Earth, you're going to have to allow those questions to be asked. You cannot just attack the people who are asking these questions and expect the answer to land in your lap. And if you really hate and despised the flat Earth, you would allow this topic to be talked about. But the truth is, those of you who choose to attack those of us who ask these questions, you're scared of the answer. You're afraid to find out that everything you've ever been taught by the government is a lie. And that is an ego issue. Many people simply do not want to admit that the government was able to fool them with the hundreds of billions of dollars that they put into this lie. And I just want to let you know that it is perfectly okay to admit that you've been fooled, especially when hundreds of billions of dollars and all of the propaganda that you could ever imagine went into it. It does not make you a fool for buying into their nonsense. What does make you a fool is attacking the people who are trying to point it out. I believe that every single one of you are capable of seeing what's going on. I believe in you. Question is, do you believe in yourself? Wakey, wakey. I love you.
Yeah, just look at all that color, guys. Isn't that beautiful? That is just gorgeous. Watch that thing twinkle. Just dancing away. Stars do not make themselves. They were created by God and placed in the firmament of heaven for light upon the earth, and for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years. Research biblical cosmology, guys, and you'll find the truth. And if you research the Mazzaroth, you'll realize that God's Word is written in the stars.
Psalms 19, 2-3. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard.
Okay, here is an infrared picture taken by J. Tolan Media One. And what they do is they specialize in filming and taking pictures with infrared cameras, because the infrared takes out all the haze in the atmosphere, which distorts your view. Anyways, this picture was taken from a plane that was just taking off over Lake Michigan at 1,800 feet in altitude, and 1,000 miles out over the horizon, you can see the Rocky Mountains. Now, just in case Professor Dumb Dave says that's not 1,000 miles away, let's take a look here on Google Maps. So let me zoom this in so everyone can see this. And as you can see, it's actually 1,006.78 miles from Lake Michigan. So, anyways, there's your picture. And just in case you think that's impossible, I'll let J. Tolan Media One show you how it's done.
So this is my infrared filter. It's a 950 nanometer long pass infrared filter. Blocks visible and lets infrared through, basically. I'll be putting that on the front of the camera, and then I'll switch the camera to night shot. You'll be amazed, just watch. Wow, look at that. Isn't that incredible? This green tint is default, and I cannot change it in Photoshop or Premiere. I'll be changing it. So this looks much better. Desaturated the clip and adjusting contrast. And you'll see me adjusting contrast throughout the clips.
It's like, wow. Just blew away with all that haze. That's just
Now in the foreground, this mountain is Mount Charleston. Behind it is the Nevada test site. Now you can see Groom Lake and Papoose Lake to the left. Just incredible. Look at that. Look at that. Just take it all in. This is incredible. Just incredible. That banding of the atmosphere. Something else, isn't it?
Now, these guys film throughout the whole flight, so I'm going to time-lapse it just so we can move on. And if you guys want to watch the full video, I'll leave the link to their website in the description.
Because when we look down, it appears we're in a flat world. Everybody's got to make up their own mind, but this is strange.
just incredible. Let me take the filter off to see how much haze there is out there. This is just see that?
Now, as you can see, these guys are really good at what they do. And as you can see with your own eyes, it's flat as a pancake, and you can see everything in detail with the infrared. So this debunks the 1,000-mile-away picture.
Hey man, y'all see something cool right here? All right, look, check this out. These ancient structures. Now I want y'all to tell me why y'all think this looks like some kind of mechanism. You know, it almost looks like it's got gears and it's turning, doesn't it? I got another one I want to show y'all too. I like this one right here. Watch this one. All right, watch how he turns it now. And people will say, oh, it's a In case they had earthquakes, they could check and see, you know, to make sure the building was still square and stuff. Come on, man. There's a lot more to that. There's got to be, allegedly. What if I told y'all that allegedly those moving gears on those columns could have something to do with these right here? The Vimanas, the flying vehicles of the past. Hold up. I know it sounds crazy. Look right here. Here's a column on an old building, right? This is a modern day shaft. We'll call it identical. Jet engine. Look up here. Modern, ancient. So the ring on the first pillar has 8 sides. The ring on the second pillar has 16 sides. The third ring has 32 sides, and the fourth has 64 sides. These are not rings, but are gears. Well, this gear ratio right here, I mean, like, what's really going on here? You know, is what this person's saying. Voltage regulator. Vimana flying chariot in ancient India. Y'all think about these things, man. There's a lot that allegedly is possible.
I totally get that you're busy, you've got personal things going on in your life, lots of distractions on the news given from the mainstream media. There's a lot going on. But I don't know if you realize this, but it's been over a year since the Georgia Guidestones were blown up, and nobody's talking about it anymore. And if you don't know what the Georgia Guidestones are, it's a bunch of tall stone tablets where it has written on them the same exact text in a bunch of different languages. One of the wonderful things that whoever put up this monument thought to put on here was maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. If you do the math, that's like a 90% reduction in the current claimed population of the Earth. But other than just saying some weird stuff like we should kill everybody, it also had some astronomical features. One, the channel through the stone indicates the celestial pole, Polaris. Talk about that in a second. The horizontal slot indicates the annual travel of the sun. And 3, sunbeam through the capstone marks noontime throughout the year. Now that channel that they were talking about drilled through the rock is this hole right here. And you could have walked up to this hole at any time of the year, day or night, and this hole would be aiming at Polaris, the celestial pole. Riddle me this. How are we supposed to believe this worked if this is the movements of our solar system? The entire solar system is moving 500,000 miles an hour, 4.9 billion miles in a single year through space. We're tilted on an axis, precessing, wobbling, while we're supposed to believe we're orbiting the sun at 66,616 miles an hour on average. And all of the stars above our head are supposed to be expanding away from us from the Big Bang, doing their own individual movements. And we're supposed to believe that we're on a round rock and we could set a rock on this rock that aims at Polaris 24/7 when we're supposed to be doing this? Someone make sense of this. I know it's a lot to realize that current cosmology is off, but it's actually admitted by people like Michio Kaku, who admit that cosmology, the current cosmology, is off by 10 to 120th power. And this channel and this guidestone right here definitively disproves the ideology which suggests that we're on a spinning magical water ball doing all of these astronomical motions around the sun and through a space vacuum that doesn't exist. This truth, it's uncomfortable. It's gonna really twist and turn your brain. But once you realize that everything is cyclical and the sky is a clock, and the Georgia Guidestones, that horizontal hole that was cut into those stones, it measured the equinoxes and solstices of the year. Why do you think that the sun makes this analemma every year? It makes this infinity shape. And we have to believe that a Mars-sized planet came and hit the Earth and caused all of this cyclicalness? Yeah, right, buddy. The Earth's flat, and we live on the inertial plane or block domain wall of the magnetic perturbation that starts at the center of the Earth. There's no South Pole. And when you look at the movements of the wandering stars or so-called planets, and then you look at a magnetic field, something something might be going on. I suggest that maybe the sky moves off magnetism and not gravity. If you'd like to hear me debate this live with scientists, pseudoscientists, globe zealots, and all of the likes, you're going to need to follow all 3 of these channels that I've tagged here down at the bottom. I debate on all 4 of them because I am extremely censored for this information. Share this video. Get it out to the people. Let's prove to everybody that God's true creation is a level topographical plane with the stars and the moon and the sun moving above us. We are not moving. Have a good one.
Okay, so you mean to tell me that you believe an airplane flying north to south has conservation of momentum from west to east, and this is why the atmosphere does not need to drag the airplane as it flies over it? Did you forget that the Earth slows down the further north or the further south you go? The further away you get from the equator, the slower the Earth is moving. The atmosphere has zero effect on the airplane moving with the spin of the Earth, and it really is all of the conservation of momentum of that airplane from its starting location. Then if it's flying north to south, the ground would either be moving slower or faster than the airplane that has the conservation of momentum from its launch location. Say an airplane flew north from the equator. It flew all the way up to, say, I don't know, Washington. The ground in Washington would be moving slower than the ground where the airplane took off, which would mean that in order for that airplane to match the speed of the ground below it, the atmosphere would have to drag that airplane to slow it down to make the conservation of momentum match the speed of the Earth. And I know you are not going to understand this. It's not because I don't think you're smart enough to understand this. It's because of the indoctrination the government has programmed into your mind. The entire Earth's atmosphere is moving with the Earth, and that is causing the airplane to move with the Earth, and the atmosphere what creates drag on that airplane so that it is constantly matching the ground speed below it. Or, as you would proclaim, the atmosphere has nothing to do with the west to east motion of an airplane flying north to south. If your theory were correct, and the airplane is moving 1,000 miles an hour sideways because of the conservation of its momentum, as that airplane flies north or south, the momentum of the airplane would be from the equator 1,000 miles an hour, and the ground beneath the airplane, where it lands, would be moving slower than the airplane that took off from the equator. Now, obviously, airplanes are not landing on a tarmac that's moving slower than the airplane. Either the Earth is as it appears, and it's not moving, or the Earth is moving, and the atmosphere is dragging the airplane to match the ground speed of the moving Earth beneath it. If the globe model is correct, then your statement is wrong. So, you're in a pickle. Either you have to admit that the Earth is not moving, or you have to admit that as your Earth spins, the atmosphere would slow down the airplane so that airplane matches the ground speed of the Earth below it. Now, neither answer is good for the globe model. That's because airplanes prove the globe to be utter dog crap. Things you have to believe the Earth is a spinning rock. Mind-boggling. Wakey, wakey. I love ya.
Because people are so convinced they live on a ball, they have no idea how the same exact phenomenon can be explained with a rotating dome over a flat plane. All of the stars that surround the so-called globe can be opened up into a dome. They don't understand it because they don't bother researching it. This is a very simplistic depiction, but what it's actually showing you is how a Taurus field works. This is a primer field generated in a lab using frequencies in plasma. This is how things are made in the universe, just like a spiraling galaxy that you actually believe in. The template is exactly the same. Instead of the stars being wrapped around this CGI ball that you call Earth, the stars are just opened up into a dome that surround the flat plane inside of the Taurus field. There's a vortex at the center of this flat plane that goes through the center to the other side, just like this and just like this. Primer fields. You believe in this, this sphere inside of an electromagnetic field, but you don't believe in this? That instead of living on a ball inside of a primal field, we actually live on the flat bottom part of the Taurus field. Can you wrap your head around that? What people don't seem to understand is that the stars are rotating above us. The Earth is not a ball rotating, but a flat plane with the stars rotating above us, which produces the same exact effects. The Earth is a dielectric plane. Earth comes from the word ert, or inert. Inert means motionless. Your eyes see a flat horizon, yet you believe in the fisheye lens images from NASA. This is because the eyes cannot see what the indoctrinated mind refuses to accept. There are literally hundreds of videos and experiments showing you how to explain the very same phenomenon on the flat plane Taurus field world. How would you be expected to understand it if you've never researched it for yourself? All cultures understood a Taurus field and how we lived on a flat plane before the Vatican got Copernicus to come up with the math to change it into a spherical model. The question is, how can you ridicule people for understanding a model that you've never researched yourself? Everything is shaped by frequencies. We are spiritual beings having a material experience. Yes, the world is a sphere. The Taurus field is a sphere. But we are observing it from the flat, inert plane.